Hey everyone, welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna. It is your filthy casual wrestling fan and sports fanatic, DylanLasagna here. And, well, last week was a big wrestling weekend. And, well, there was a couple of wrestling shows that happened. One that we haven't talked about yet, though, was one that I talked about the 2 days before it happened. And that was, of course, WWE Clash of the Castle, the big UK show that happened last week at this time. So, here we are, my late, super out of date review of Clash of the Castle. Pretty much my quick thoughts about this particular show. And I gotta say, this was actually a pretty dang good show. Like, this is a pretty good, dang good show. Now, not all the matches were perfect that we're gonna be talking about here, but like, even if the buildup was kind of crap, like, I gotta say, these matches and the crowd, yes, it was kind of smarky, like the European crowd, but you gotta admit, that energy, the first time having that pay-per-view there in 30 years, that SummerSlam 1992, you know, they at least made it feel special. You know, the crowd more than made up for it. Yes, it was a little smarky, but hey, you gotta give them some effort there. You gotta give them a little bit of effort there. So, we had this Clash of the Castle pay-per-view last week, and you started off with the pre-show. I mean, it was a solid, harmless matchup between the Street Profits, Madcap Moss, going up against Alpha Academy and Austin Theory, who, by the way, got his first name back now. And, you know, it was a solid match. And I'm not sure, though, why they decided to scrap the little dissension angle between the Street Profits. You know, like I mentioned this in my SummerSlam review a couple of weeks ago, that they're showing a little bit of dissension because Montez Ford was like getting all pissed, angry, frustrated that they couldn't beat the Usos. But yeah, there was really none of it. So they the faces worked together to beat Alpha Academy and Austin Theory. And yeah, that was pretty much your pre-show match to get everyone warmed up, everyone hyped for the main card. We go into the main card and we get Damage Control. That's the new name for Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky's group, who took on the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair and her posse of Alexa Bliss and Asuka. This match, I mean, it was okay. It was an all right match, but it was definitely overstayed its welcome. It definitely overstayed its welcome. The end of the match saw Damage Control triple team Bianca Belair with their finishers, and surprisingly won the match. Like, Bayley pinned Bianca Belair, and well, she potentially could get a future Raw Women's Championship match down the line, maybe at the next pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. I don't know, but I mean, I guess they're building towards something at that next pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. So after that matchup, they played a vignette for Cody Rhodes. I don't know if it was like a promotional thing, maybe like a commercial, or maybe they're just like hyping up his like recovery from that terrible injury that he had like back in June. So I don't know, like, if that was like just a vignette, like a commercial, or like they're actually like updating us on his like injury progress. I don't know. So next up, we had a really good match, like probably a match of the year contender right here, the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunther, aka Walter, going up against Sheamus, and they absolutely did what Sheamus said they were going to do: deliver a banger. This is a very physical match. They were slapping each other like there was no tomorrow. They're making each other's chest red. They hit each other as hard as they freaking could. And then prior to this match, you had like Ludwig Kaiser re-recruit him and Gunther's former ally Giovanni Vincent. They reformed their like old stable from NXT UK, Imperium. So they're back together to even the score with Sheamus's posse, the Brawling Brutes, Pete Dunne, aka Butch, and Rich Holland. So that evened the score a bit. So Sheamus gave everything he had. He was very physical in this match. but it wasn't enough. It was not enough. He tried to go for one last bro kick, but his back gave out, and that was the deciding moment in that match. And Gunther hit like a nasty lariat on Sheamus to retain the Intercontinental title. And who knows, maybe this could be the catalyst for Sheamus being a babyface, or maybe it's just a one-time thing for the UK fans. I don't know. But either way, very good match. Very good match for both of these guys. Next up, you had the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler. I mean, it was okay. Probably the worst match of the night, because it was kind of like plotting, meh. I mean, it didn't really make like it just looked not that believable. But I mean, I guess it's kind of good that Liv Morgan retained. But man, I just kind of feel bad for her because of all the hate that she's getting. But I mean, at the same time, yeah, there are some flaws in her though. So next up, you have Edge and Rey Mysterio going up against Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. And I gotta say, it was pretty awesome to hear the UK crowd actually sing a legit song, like Edge's theme song. So that was cool to hear. As for the match itself, good tag team matchup between these guys. I mean, that's saying a lot considering like how I kind of dislike Finn Balor. But you know, this seemingly looked like, you know, Judgment Day was actually going to win here. But no, they actually lost again. They lost again to the good guys. Rey got some revenge on Rhea Ripley, finally, when he dove onto her when she attacked Dominic again. And then Edge did a 619 too. He did a 619 during his hot tag rally during this matchup. So that was awesome to see. So Edge and Rey Mysterio win this matchup. Dominic distracted Finn Balor long enough for Edge and Rey to finish them off with 619 and spear combo. So yeah, good match. But the post match stuff was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. Like the placement of it was weird. Like because Dominic Mysterio, as some of us knew was gonna happen, he turned heel. He went to the dark side. He met his Judgment Day, as like I guess you want to say it. Dominic dick kicked Edge right after the match, and he turned on his daddy too with a clothesline. So Rhea Ripley indeed was his poppy. So Judgment Day was like all laughing, like So Dominic went to the dark side. He was no longer the chosen one to take down the Judgment Day. And that was pretty much confirmed on Monday Night Raw because, well, he was dressed up, donned in black with Rhea Ripley, ignoring his dad, and, yeah, attacking Edge and Rey Mysterio throughout the night. But my thing was, why do it after the match when Edge and Mysterio had won? That was weird. Like, that was weird placement. Like, don't you think a better time to have Dominic Mysterio turn on Edge and Rey was during the match? Like, you know, at a critical point in the match where, like, the good guys are about to get the win, but then Dominic, like, does something to cost Edge and Rey the matchup, like, in a brutal way. I don't know. It's just weird. It is just very weird that they did it after the match when the fact that the Judgment Day lost. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But either way, Dominic is back. I mean, he's not back. He's on the dark side now. And Edge and Mysterio are shorthanded. And that's that. So then we had Seth Rollins going up against Matt Riddle. I did like Matt Riddle's Patrick Star inspired gear. I mean, I don't like the guy, but he does have some good choice of gear. You know, he loves his SpongeBob SquarePants, as I do. I mean, it was an all right match. Nothing that I found too particularly interesting in, except for the ending, though. You know, Seth Rollins would do Matt Riddle's like inspirational Randy stuff. Like, oh, Randy, I'm getting that feeling. Randy Orton, he did the draping DDT on Matt Riddle, and then he tried to do the RKO too, but that pissed off Matt Riddle. He went into this flurry of rage, but that ended up costing him. And Seth Rollins hit a curb stomp on him twice, and yeah, that was pretty much the end of that match. So it was an all right match. The ending was kind of cool though. So it seems like Matt Riddle wants one more match against Seth Rollins, but Rollins is apparently moving on to other things. So I'm not sure how that will go. Then, of course, the big money main event that everyone came to see, including myself, was the Undisputed Championship match between the champion, Roman Reigns, and Drew McIntyre. And, you know, going into it, I was wondering whether or not Triple H would actually pull the trigger. Would he actually do the inevitable? Give Drew McIntyre his homecoming crowning achievement. Crown him as the undisputed WWE champion in front of his home country, and have him be the chosen one in dethroning Roman Reigns after 700 plus days. And we were going to find out that answer, or we found out that answer last week. So WWE did the thing. They brought back Drew McIntyre's old theme song, Broken Dreams by Shaman's Harvest. Underrated theme song, by the way. So they did the opening sequence. They made a new Titantron for it. I mean, it was only brief, but they did like an intro for it. So that was pretty cool. And that was an awesome moment. Roman Reigns came out alone because of the main event segment the night prior. Well, taped, by mind you. So Roman Reigns came alone, or so we thought later on. So UK crowd brought a big fight feel, made it feel home for Drew McIntyre, and made it all so hostile for Roman Reigns. And WWE did a pretty damn good job with this main event. They made sure that while it was still McIntyre's home country, they still had plenty of enemies for him. Karrion Kross was at ringside, distracting Drew, and nearly cost him the match against Roman Reigns. So that continued their ongoing rivalry. Austin Theory once again tried to cash in his Money in the Bank on, well, didn't matter if it was Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. He wanted to get in on that shit. But Tyson Fury, the professional boxer, wouldn't have any of that and knocked his ass out, just like like Theory got knocked out at SummerSlam by Lesnar. And then all the while, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre were beating the living hell out of each other with their best power moves, their best shot at one another. And just when you thought that Drew McIntyre was going to win the Undisputed Championship on one last Claymore, a random guy in a black hoodie showed up. Random no more. His name is Solo Sikoa. Am I pronouncing that right? Solo Sikoa came out and revealed himself to the world and pulled out the referee and practically cost Drew McIntyre the match. So apparently Solo Sikoa was in NXT 2.0. He's the younger cousin of the Usos and Roman Reigns. And he would distract McIntyre long enough to have Roman Reigns spear his ass. 1, 2, 3. The bloodline continues on. Roman Reigns is still the undisputed WWE champion. Everyone must acknowledge him because we are not worthy. We are not worthy of this presence here. Roman Reigns is going to continue the run of his life, man. And I got to be honest, I was very surprised that Triple H would book Roman to continue his title reign. I really was. I mean, I'm not opposed to it because, you know, I love me some Tribal Chief whenever we get him. It's just that, man, going into this event, he really hinted at so much that Drew was going to win this thing. Drew was going to be like Thanos. He is the inevitable. But then out came Roman Reigns like he was Tony Stark. And he was the Iron Man at Clash of the Castle last week. So, man. Now what do you do, though? It's like, Drew, like, yeah, sure, Drew has been built crappily prior to Clash of the Castle. I mean, prior to this feud with Roman Reigns. But it's like, what do you do now? what do you do? Like, what do you do at this rate with Drew McIntyre? Sure, he's gonna feud with Karrion Kross, but it's like, what do you do after that? Like, how do you keep Drew McIntyre the main event guy, like a top guy for the World Championship? More importantly, what do you do with the Bloodline? Like, how do they address Solo Sikoa? I mean, of course, there's SmackDown that was yesterday, but I haven't watched it yet. So they'll more certainly do things to at least keep the Bloodline, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa fresh while Roman Reigns is not on TV. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But for Roman Reigns, it's like his list of contenders is kind of dwindling a bit. It really is, because what are you gonna do? Run it back with Seth Rollins again? Karrion Kross is not ready yet. He still needs to be built up. He needs to like have some feuds in order for him to get to that point with Roman Reigns. And seriously, we're still considering Cody Rhodes to be that guy, really? And then, I mean, I want that match with The Rock. I really do. And I do understand the complaints of, for the title at WrestleMania. But, I mean, hell, come on. It draws. It's going to make SoFi Stadium, that Rams game, that Rams Stadium, as much as I despise them, get them that money. So, I mean, the short list of contenders for Roman Reigns is dwindling. It really is. But I will admit that this was WWE's best show all year. They really brought it. I mean, not every match was a banger, but none of the matches were that bad too. I mean, the only downer was kind of only the SmackDown Women's title match. But there was at least something for everybody, even for a filthy casual fan like me. I know people were upset about the ending, but especially with Drew not becoming the undisputed champion. But I believe you all would have turned on him in about a month or two into his title reign, especially considering that he was singing with Tyson Fury at the end of the show, which reportedly wasn't supposed to even be aired on Peacock. Like, what does that even tell you? So overall, it was a good show. It was a really good show. I will stand on my grave for this. Best show that they did in all year. And yeah, my standards were pretty damn low. My standards are pretty damn low. But it was a good show. It was a really good show. And it set some stuff up for the SmackDown yesterday that I've yet to watch, and potentially even more. Like, at least keep the ball rolling. At least they're doing somewhat better than AEW is right now. And that's not saying much. There really isn't. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on WWE Clash of the Castle, even though it was last week. But if you haven't watched it yet like I have, or you haven't gotten the time to talk about it like I have, let me know your thoughts about it too. So anyway, this is DylanLasagna signing out a very cold lasagna. Keep those filthy casual thoughts in that very cold fridge. And until next time, peace out.